Good morning, Rebels, and welcome back to my life. You know what's awesome? Women. Women are awesome. But if you read most fantasy books, you might not think that. Recently, I wrote a blog post about women in the fantasy genre, and it got quite a lot of traffic on Redblur and Tumblr. Or did I mix those up? Yes, I meant to say I wrote a blog post about fantasies in the women genre. No, that's still wrong, and yet oh so right. Ah well, moving on. Fantasy authors have an unfortunate history of having a small minority of female characters in their books overall, and not really creating many female characters of great depth or complexity. We see lots of books where 80% of the characters are male, or all of the female characters have very little character development going on other than their relationship with a man, which is just pluh. Let me tell you what's fun, trying to figure out how to spell pluh when I wrote the script for this video. A notable exception is what is probably the most popular fantasy series out there at this time. I'm talking, of course, about my Nightblade series. No, I'm not. I wish I was. I'm talking about Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones has a roughly 50-50 ratio of male and female characters, which is great because, you know, that's how nature works, and it also has lots of female characters of tremendous depth and agency. Now, that being said, Game of Thrones still takes place in a world with some pretty severe gender discrimination. Women are not considered to stand equal to men in many things, and in particular, they are excluded from the battlefield in almost all cases. Brienne of Tarth has to prove her worth by being a totally badass fighter, and she does, but because of the way the society is constructed, she still has to prove it. This is fine. I'm not saying it's wrong to write societies where gender politics are still a thing, but what I talked about in my blog post is that I personally prefer to create societies where gender discrimination is not a thing. That's the case in the Nightblade series, but in all the discussions about the blog post on Redbook and Faceblur and Twittit and Tumblr, I started to wonder if I was doing more harm than good. Am I, by creating these societies, in some way saying, hey, no, it's all fine, everything's okay, there's no gender discrimination anywhere, stop complaining, women? I really hope that's not what people interpret from my work. See, because here's the thing, in the Game of Thrones universe, Martin is showing us that even in a society where the culture has agreed that men wear the pants, so to speak, women can still be tremendously influential and can do things and be forces for change and have actual personalities. What? The women in his story often overcome society's idea of how they are in order to achieve their goals. And it doesn't matter if those goals are evil bitch face, oh my god, Cersei is the worst, or noble badass, go kick some ass Brienne goals, they are still goals. And I love that his female characters run the gamut of not only societal standing from queen to whore, but moral and ethical fiber as well. But ultimately, I think there's something just as valid to imagining societies where gender bias and discrimination don't exist. Rather than say, hey, everything's fine, I don't know what you're complaining about, I hope people read my stories and go, hey, this society actually sounds pretty cool. Wouldn't it be great if our world was like that? It's like science fiction. You can write a story about scientists who discover faster than light travel and develop ways to break the light barrier and travel out amongst the galaxy, showing that despite the barriers of physics, we will overcome. Or you can just jump into the future where FTL is commonplace and everybody goes, oh my god, that looks awesome, I want that thing! And people just get so excited about it that they just make it happen, taking care of all the details along the way. I mean, you could say that's one of the factors that got us to the moon. Science fiction was in its golden age, and it was saying, hey everybody, look how great space is gonna be! And society said, yeah, and got together and invented a rocket that would take us to the moon, and we did it. And then after that, we sort of lost sight of the goal and the space program atrophied. Well, let's not let that happen with feminism. Let's continue to show that women are vital and important despite systematic oppression, and at the same time, let's continue to imagine how awesome it's going to be when that oppression has been eradicated from our society. Thanks for watching, Rebels. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!